Excellent. All right. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. It's Social Media 101, the basics. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that the land we identify as RTO9 is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat peoples. RTO9 will honor and respect the land, the people, and the treaties. We are extremely thankful for the original tour guides of these lands and all that they have shared. All those that reside, work, and play on these lands are treaty people, and we must honor the treaties in a mutually beneficial and equitable manner. With 1 in 5 Indigenous people in Canada living in Ontario, we believe working together in a mutually beneficial manner will help all Ontarians prosper through the joint development of the tourism industry. As an ally to Indigenous people and a partner of Indigenous Tourism Ontario, RTO9 will commit to improving the socioeconomic conditions of Indigenous people through tourism by creating space for Indigenous people to tell their stories on their terms. And I'm just going to touch on a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started this morning. First, if you didn't hear, this workshop is being recorded and it will be available for viewing after today's session on the RTO9 website, which is just rto9.ca. There will be a question period at the end. So if you have questions during the presentation, pop them into the Q&A box. That can be done anonymously if you put it through the Q&A box, or if you want, you can also put it in the chat window on the side. We'll get to them at the end. You're also going to receive an email following today's session with a quick 2-minute survey link. So if you're able to spare some time to review the workshop, that would be really greatly appreciated. That is also anonymous. It helps both me and Kareen improve ourselves so that we know what we're doing and what we could do better. So now without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our lovely facilitator this morning. This is Kareen Parthenais from Mellow Brew Marketing.
Thank you, Meg. I won't lie. Every time I do a workshop like this and I have no idea who is here, I see a number. There are apparently participants here. That's always good news. So I will encourage you throughout the workshop and the conversation today to please use the chat amongst yourselves, and please, when I'm asking questions, getting your feedback is super helpful. Of course, I lay out a plan and a purpose for the presentation, but if there are questions in one direction or another, I would love to know, and then that way I can stay on the path that can help you the most. So I'm going to share my screen here. Just give me a quick moment. Is it possible that I don't have access?
You should.
Let's try this again.
It should be down at the bottom.
Yeah, it's saying no. Let me click this.
Oh no, we lost Kareen. She'll be back in a second. There she is. She's back.
I pressed the wrong button.
That's okay.
Maybe nobody's here. No one noticed. It's fine. Everything is fine.
Perfect.
All right.
There you go. Awesome. It's all working. Let me know if you have
Okay.
any other problems. I'll be here in the background. I'm just going to disappear.
We should be good now. So I think everyone can see this. So today we're going to have a conversation about the basics of social media. And while there are so many angles that we can take with the conversation of the basics, today I want to have a real conversation for business owners and what that looks like. Every day, the landscape of social media is changing and it can be really overwhelming. And my hope today is that you walk away from this feeling like, you have a little bit of confidence to start if you haven't already, if you haven't started pages for your business, to feel more confident to try something new, even giving you a little strategy today to implement so that you're creating a little bit of a consistent flow in the content that you're creating for your pages. So let's jump in, share a little bit, and then we'll get into all kinds of good stuff today. So I love sharing this quote from Seth Godin because if you don't know Seth Godin, you should just go and look him up after and learn a little bit more about what it looks like in the space of customer service in the digital age and everything. But the idea that we can today, this has always existed, but now with the tools that we have, we really can turn our customers into our salespeople and people who celebrate us and champion us. And we've seen that over, the last few years with influencer partnerships and the ability to just talk to your friends and your family. It's like the great referral now online. People have become our biggest champions, and to leverage that, we need to do a really good job of presenting ourselves online. And I love how he speaks about how what we do better in-house, behind the scenes, all the unsexy work that nobody likes to talk about. When we do those things really well, we can channel that into our online social work, and then helping us grow our following and just these people that are celebrating us and telling the world about us. It's half the job, especially in a very crowded space today. I know that if you're opening your feed on a regular day and you're seeing, all these things that you're scrolling through, just a never ending feed. It's just nice to know that there are other people out there doing these things for you. I'm just going to see, I would like to see the chat here. So I'm just going to open this up because I may have a couple of questions for you as we go on. So, okay, where do we start? So where there's so much to cover when it comes to social. I 15 years ago nearly started to use the tools in different capacities, and over the years they've just, every time you get a hold on something, every time you start using something and you feel good about it, something new happens, a new tool is added, or a new way to share on the tools is featured. And that can be really overwhelming, especially when you're trying to get a new clientele to come to your place of business. Here, we're mostly talking about tourism today. So I'm assuming, can we confirm that in the chat, actually, that most of all of you that are here are in tourism? And if you can tell me what it is that you are doing and how you're attracting people to come to your space, I would love to know. Again, in the chat, I'm looking, no one's writing anything yet, but I trust that you will. Tell me a little bit about what it is that you're doing in your work. It's super helpful to know the different angles and the different things you're doing. And again, I can tailor some of this conversation to some of you. So I'll let you sit on these questions, but please feel free to engage there. So yes, there are so many things to cover. My goal today is to make sure you walk away from this with zero overwhelm, and you can just try to move the needle in what you're doing with social. So someone here, not in tourism, but run a voluntary organization with lots of activities for older people. Okay, good. This information is super helpful, so please keep sharing. A museum, excellent. Yes, we want to attract more people to come. Absolutely. Learn more about social media. I'm starting a new wellness business. Excellent. Keep these coming. I won't be able to reference all of them, but I see them coming in. So before we can jump in a little bit more, my name again, Kagen. I'm a business and brand strategist. I'm the owner of Mellow Brew Marketing, and I work with creatives and freelancers across Canada to bring projects to life for my clients. So I primarily focus on strategy, web, and design, and love working with business owners and entrepreneurs. Have been doing it if I wasn't working as a business owner, I was working for business owners for nearly 15 years. So I love the entrepreneurial spirit. I understand it. I get that it's different than, someone who, I don't know, just being in that space of working for yourself. It's a beast of its own, and it's a place I really love. And so it's something that I admire. And so when we're wanting to learn new things like social media, it really fuels my fire. I've also recently founded and written a book called The Work Vacay, and where I'm trying to teach business owners to take time to work on their business, because a lot of people don't take the time. And this could be even if you're in a traditional work role, pulling yourself away from the day-to-day to really think about what it is that you want for your goals and how to make sure you're aligned. Very important to me, and it's something that I put a lot of time in. So this is a lovely photo by a photographer who has taken a headshot. I'm sure many of you have, but in real life, this is usually me stuck behind. Today, I think I have 3 screens up. I'm always behind a screen with some goggles on, working on projects, learning new technology and digital tools. There's so many different things. And again, just trying to put into perspective that there's always a polished view, just like social media. There's this polished view of everything put together, maybe on the one side, but we're all just real people doing the hard work on the back side. So I'm just going to run through some comments again. Retail shop, campground, rural community service clubs, art council, custom working case. So there's a lot of different things here. That's good. That's really, really good. So we should have a good conversation today. So let's talk about social media as a whole. So you're going to go back to the chat and you're going to tell me how confident you are in the use of social media. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being hide and you would rather not even touch it, to you're a 10. You really are very confident with your abilities and you're happy to be there. Tell me what you're thinking in the chat with just a number. And maybe if you want, you can add your initial thoughts about social media. What do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have a love-hate relationship with it? So there's a lot of like higher numbers here. A little, I see a 1.5 here, but there's still some time consuming. Yes, nobody signed up to be a content creator. You wanted to have a role or a job as a business owner, a role entrepreneurship. You didn't sign up to do all of this content. So I understand that. Don't like being there, but know that there are advantages. Good. It's very time consuming. It's important sometimes. There's a fine line, professional and personal. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of things here. Unfamiliar with new tools like TikTok, that I can appreciate. Okay, so I think we're all kind of in the same space. There's a love and a hate for it, which is fair. There is a lot of positive that can come from using the tools. I've experienced in many ways over the years where I've been able to connect with different communities and, build friendships in my professional career, but also in my personal life. So the tools can be very advantageous in that sense, but they can also be overwhelming and they can just take over if you don't prioritize and pull yourself away from, being too engaged in it. So today I'm going to kind of give you a flow here and a little bit of a permission, I guess, to scale back, only do what you need to get started or to feel confident. Actually, over the months to come, we'll be doing different workshops. Actually, I'll be doing a few more sessions that get a little bit deeper. But today, we're just going to focus on getting you comfortable and excited about some of these basic things to make sure that it's all clear and you can begin growing your audience. So how we'll be filling your cup today. So you're not going to love it because it's very vague, because that's the world of social media. I'm going to give you a lot of, if this works for you, you don't have to do this. If you like this, maybe you can try it. And that's because if you're going to stick to something, it needs to feel good. Too many times I see coaches or marketers trying to push individuals to do a very specific thing, but if it doesn't come naturally and if it doesn't come easily, you start and then you drop. And I don't want that to happen. I want this to be the kind of thing that you decide, okay, October 1st, we are going to start doing these exact things. And it's going to be a very reasonable schedule and very digestible. And you yourself are going to be able to handle it, or you'll be able to engage your team to help support it. So the idea of not going to love it is because there are so many ways you can do social and there are so many ways that you can show up. And my hope is that you take what you can today and you run with it to make it comfortable for you. And just remember that it's all an experiment. Even the most seasoned marketers today are experimenting and trying new things. And every day, again, the tools evolve so much that there's no right or wrong, but there are some efficiencies that we can find along the way. So today we're going to talk about the best social platforms for your business. There are a lot of tools. There are a lot of platforms that you can be on. So let's really have a discussion about that. Where to be based on your goals. So what is it that you want to accomplish? Creating a professional profile. So just making sure that your profile is clean and clear and direct and few elements that may seem pretty basic, but sometimes are overlooked. And my favorite posting strategy for beginners. So today, at the very least, you are walking away with a very easy strategy so that, again, if you're on your own or if you have a small team and you want to sit down and make a plan, it will be very easy to create some type of a posting schedule and to feel a little bit more confident with that. So the best social platforms for your small business. I would love to know in the chat if you can tell me where you are right now, what tools you are using. I'm going to give you a second to answer. There are the basics. There are the places that we feel comfortable in. Facebook already an answer. Facebook, there's a whole world of people that thought for a period of time that it was over, but Facebook is still at the top of all of this. So I'm happy to hear that we're still enjoying Facebook. Instagram, MailChimp, absolutely also considered a tool. LinkedIn, Twitter, now X. Thank you, Elon. Lots of things here. Instagram, Facebook. Okay, so we're kind of all in the same places. X. I don't see Threads on here, which I find interesting because I'm seeing some Instagram. Threads is a new tool that was launched by Instagram, kind of when the whole Twitter thing fell apart and they kind of introduced their own version of it. But there are tons of tools. There are so many different tools. And yes, based on, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, there are different places to be. But again, we're going to kind of jump into that and see if we can get you a little bit of clarity. So what are your goals? Is your goal, I'm going to go through a few different goals, the 4 things that normally we hear. So people either are looking to sell online, they're looking to build your brand, raise awareness, and gain more clients. So these are usually what we're trying to do. Selling online is more of an e-commerce thing. I imagine we don't have anyone really here in e-commerce unless you're selling tickets to visit your location. So selling online for tickets does fall in that category. Building your brand, so bring that brand awareness. When we talked earlier, the better your brand has a presence, the more your audience is speaking well of you. That is what a brand is ultimately, right? What people are saying about you when you're not in the room. So building up that brand. Raising awareness. So raising awareness for a campaign, maybe a nonprofit, something that's going on where you want to raise awareness around a particular subject or a cause. And of course, gaining more clients. We're always trying to find more clients, right? Who doesn't want to gain more customers? I'm seeing here, I'm in e-commerce as well. I'd be curious to know what you're doing. If it's not ticket sales related, you can definitely share that. Meta, Hootsuite, Eventbrite. Yes, there's so many tools. So thank you for sharing those. And the reality is, this is the part where I said you might not love it so much, but the reality is to sell online, and these are just some of the tools. There's so many that exist. And I'm realizing that I never changed. I wrote Twitter, but I meant X. So please, my apologies. So sell online, build your brand, raise awareness, gain more clients. You can do that anywhere. You can do that on all the platforms that exist. There are so many out there, but it's about choosing what's right for you. So earlier I saw someone say something about TikTok, but they don't really feel comfortable about it. And I know that's often a topic of conversation because you need to be on TikTok. How many here have heard or have been in that conversation where people have told them you need to be there and that you've considered it? Have you considered trying a tool, I guess, that you haven't been particularly excited about? Tell me in the chat if you're hearing these things. Yes. Misha saying, yes, people are telling me to be places I don't want to be. There are so many tools, and the reality is that we need to have a conversation about where your clients actually are and really identifying what it is that where you're going to find them and where you can engage them. And it can be difficult to figure out, but my biggest hope for you today is to not get overwhelmed trying to do all of it, because what is right for you might not be right for someone else. You really need to identify the goals of your campaign, of your business, and finding the people where they are. And that's ultimately what you need to take away from this. You need to be where your customers are. And how do you figure that out? data, analytics, understanding. There's some research that needs to be done, but some very basic things that we can consider are if your business is very local, very, very local business, I don't think you need to be on TikTok. TikTok is reaching the masses. It's a wide range. It's about helping you build a personal brand, helping you, if you're hoping to ship nationwide or across the world, sure, maybe you'd be on TikTok. But if your business is super hyper local, Facebook might be all you need. That might be the only place that you need to be to make that happen with the help of something like MailChimp for email marketing. But you don't necessarily need to be in all the places. Sorry, I'm seeing more comments here. Not really interested in TikTok or X, not really for the audiences. Also, no time and capacity. Yeah, absolutely. X or something like Threads, it's really a conversation. So you really need to be available to engage with the audience there. So that's a really tough one. We share our Instagram reels on Facebook and on TikTok. If that makes sense, absolutely. Some say that the specific tools when you're resharing, say if you build it inside TikTok and you reshare it on Instagram, that Instagram can pick that up and not, reach as many people for you. Something to be aware of. You can never really tell how accurate that is, but yes, sharing your content and repurposing your content used to be something that was very frowned upon. You didn't want to take your content. And I remember hosting workshops years ago where I would say, if you're asking people to be on Facebook and on Instagram with you, make sure you're sharing different content because you want to make sure that you're giving them a reason to be in both places. And that really has evolved. It really has evolved to taking your content, repurposing it in different ways, and delivering it the way the channel would like to see it from you. Seeing more recent problems with Facebook and Insta, they're serving up more canned content than local posts. People aren't seeing posts. Absolutely. So it's becoming more of a pay to play game in the world of social media. And there's so many opportunities now to pay to be in front of your audience. The tools have become a source of entertainment for most users. And if you're being honest with yourself and think about how you use the tools, how many times do you have your device in front of you and you're scrolling aimlessly and you're seeing all these different things, but you're stopping and you're laughing and you're engaging with something that is funny or humorous or entertaining or educational. The reality is that we hear a lot, the algorithm is all messed up and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, when in fact it's us. Our content is just not captivating audiences like it once did. It was very easy in the past to post a nice photo and maybe a nice caption and tell your spin or your story, and that could get a lot of engagement. But today, with all of the the video content that's available, that's very, very difficult. I've seen a post for a meeting I want to go to after it was over. Exactly. There's so much stuff. It just moves so fast. And so it can be a little bit overwhelming. So really it's about assessing where your customers are. So I think if you're a more local person trying to get more local traffic and you're really marketing to people nearby, tools like Facebook, maybe even Instagram, definitely an email marketing tool. Those are really your gems. If you're trying to build a larger audience, if you are attracting people to come to your place of business, to come to your museum or come to your coffee shop, and they can come from people outside of your region, then you can start looking at tools that allow a bigger reach and are really meant from that entertainment and pushing of the algorithm of really that reach beyond your local audience. But the important thing, and I hope if you take anything away from the discussion of the different tools that exist, and this is the part where I said, you're not going to love it. There's no perfect answer. Having a discussion with a person and understanding their business, yes, I can 100% make a recommendation, but when we're having a discussion in a group, it's a little bit more difficult. So it's really just assessing the value for you in each platform and just doing one really, really well before you move on to the next one. If you're going to show up today and be on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Pinterest and Snapchat, and you're everywhere, but you're not doing it well, you're just throwing everything away, you're not going to make an impact. It's not going to serve you. any purpose, and you're actually going to be overwhelmed and burnt out by that process. And then it's going to feel like nothing works. So then you're going to say it's all garbage, and then you're not going to do anything. And we don't want that. We want you to reap the rewards of your efforts. And so find one place, do it really well, and then introduce another and go from there. Right now, can you show me in the chat on average how many tools you're on for your business and how many you're doing well? Do you feel like you're doing them all well? And I think you'll be surprised to see that most people feel like one's lacking over the other. I'll just wait to see what you have to say here. Facebook and Instagram. So Instagram are so, which makes sense. Instagram just requires a whole other level of engagement. Instagram engagement is lacking, but Facebook is very well. Like right there, you almost have your answer. If people are engaging with you on Facebook, put your energy there. Put energy in that audience that is already very excited to see you, and do that really well. And before you start focusing somewhere else. The Instagram lacking, email list rocks. Yes. So many business owners don't see email marketing as a social tool, but it really is. And especially in local communities, email lists can be so valuable. The open rate and the engagement rate is typically really high, but so many people just set that aside. The rewards aren't always instant, so you're not getting that. It's funny because I think with social media, we know we can go to someone and say, this post was really valuable. It received 37 likes. Hooray us. Where an email, people will open it, but you don't know what their engagement was unless they make a purchase or they took the next step with you. And sometimes that may feel like a less exciting win. But if you can sell just one extra ticket or one extra product or one extra idea to someone on an email, it's much more valuable than a like on any tool. So please, 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 please use your email lists. Two tools, Facebook good, IG not great. Yeah, Instagram is become very much entertainment. So unless you're willing to really create content, kind of what we said earlier, where I bet you never intended to create content on a daily basis. The world of Instagram really requires some creativity there and some thinking and a strategy. Absolutely. So it sounds like everyone's pretty much doing the Facebook and Instagram, which makes sense and is super aligned with what is expected. Need to get email tool, going to MailChimp or others. MailChimp is great. There's so many tools now available. And they're all pretty easy to use. They've really come a long way. So I really don't think you can go wrong with just about any tool when you're getting started. Looking to expand the audience. Customers are quite varied in age, different offerings for an age group. Absolutely. And sometimes that's what you do with the tool. You can choose that a tool, maybe your engagement is different with an age demographic in TikTok, but you're getting a different demographic in Facebook. That makes perfect sense. Your content will be different in these two places, but that doesn't mean that these two audiences don't see value in your product or service and won't come to you. So this requires just a lot of reflection and conversation with yourself, with your team, maybe a strategist or coach of your own to find out where is my audience really if you're not sure. But ultimately, the best social platform, there are tons. I've only listed a few. There are probably 100 different places you can be. Of course, there are some key ones. So it is important to just make it aware. And I'm seeing, sorry, Meg is writing that they are running a series on MailChimp and the first session is recorded. So you can go check that out. We use MailChimp for our agency and all of our clients are pretty much all on MailChimp. So please take advantage of those sessions. There aren't very many locally of these sessions. So it's great when you come across something. So are there any questions about the tools as a whole? Again, the reason I said earlier, you're not going to love this is that I can't give you a direct answer as a group here. But if there are any questions or, keep note of it at the end. And when there's a Q&A, maybe I can answer some more directly about what it is that you're working on. Then we're going to jump into creating a professional profile. So again, a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do we feel that our profiles are good to go? Everybody feel okay? Everything that you have listed is fine? No changes needed? I see a question. Thoughts on Instagram Reel versus posts? Honestly, the reality is that a little bit of both is encouraged. Instagram wants you to use all of its features as much as possible. But I am learning, and I think most of the marketers that I chat with, it's less so what your delivery is, but making sure that your content is of quality. Because there was a time, I know when I first started using Instagram, no one was there. Nobody was there. So I was able to post just about anything and get engagement because there weren't enough people there to compete with the content that I was sharing. Where today, now you have a much larger audience. You're competing with things. So it's important that whatever you're creating is of value. So if you're just waking up every day and you're like, oh, I have to post something on Instagram, you might be able to pull a gem out of your pocket and share something that is engaging. But if you can really, plan and think about the things that you're going to post, and I am going to share a little bit of a strategy for that later on in this chat. Planning and having a direction makes it so that your content can be a little bit more ideal. But at the end of the day, video, as much video as you can. I'm sure most of you are taking on a lot of video content in your feed, and there's a reason for it. It captivates us, it keeps us interested, and if there's a way for you to create that video content, it's absolutely beneficial for your business. So yes, so we're feeling pretty. There's some confidence in profiles, but a little bit not. Yeah, so that's okay. Sure, everyone would like a little bit of updates. So let's go through here some things that I think you need to pay attention to. So this seems like a very basic thing and that everyone should see. I don't know why my little image here is just not here. Let's pretend that I wanted this to be a non-existent profile picture, but there is on my screen, just not on the presentation. Having an icon that captures your attention is important. So something that stands out. As you can see here, this little doggy daycare that we have written becomes very small. What I like to have my clients do and always provide our clients is if you have an icon for your business. So there's an actual visual icon. Take up your whole space, make that icon, use a striking color that when you're scrolling through a feed, there's these tiny little circles for our profiles. Whatever you can do to make that stand out so that people resonate, so that if they do already like your content, they already like what you're about, they can right away know that it's you. If your profile image is too tiny, can make it difficult. My last one was a less clear image. So sometimes you're just not making it very clear. Sorry, actually, that one was like it was more written. The doggy daycare was larger, but we didn't have the actual dog icon. So it was larger. We could read doggy daycare as it was scrolling through. So the important thing is to have a visual icon where it's recognizable, noticeable. It's the same everywhere. You're not changing it from one platform to the next. I want to be able to get to Instagram, get to Facebook, go to LinkedIn, wherever you are, and I recognize it everywhere. And it's okay if you want to change the color during a season or a particular time of the year. Again, and make sure that it's consistent everywhere. So if I'm looking for you, it's easy to find. Today, more and more, we are using social tools to research places that we want to frequent and businesses that we want to do business with. And so if we're going to Facebook, I need to recognize you. I need it to stand out. And I want that to be recognized in your brand. So make sure. We use our logo, which is in a circle, which is great. You'd be surprised how many people get logos designed without a social icon in mind. What will it look like when we're on social media? And it's one of the first discussions we have with our clients when we're doing branding, is really just having a chat about those visual identities and making sure that we're staying on the path to create something that is visually striking and that we can have longevity and consistency throughout. Very, very important. So once we have a proper profile photo, then we're going to craft a compelling bio. So you need to make sure that the information that you have in your bio is direct. Tell me exactly what it is that you do, how you help me, what kind of fun I can have at your business, what makes you really just need to make it interesting. If you're a coffee shop, don't just write coffee shop. No, we want to know. We sell the best coffee around. We have the best experience. Come and like whatever, there needs to be something catchy and something that goes beyond just the basics of what your business is. We want it to be compelling. We want it to say, hey, this sounds like an experience I want to have. This sounds like something I would like to do. So, of course, having a compelling bio can come from working with a copywriter who can write something really great for you. Or today, with all the tools that we have with AI, put in descriptions of your business. Let AI help you, ChatGPT, something, help you create something a little bit more compelling and exciting so that people will want to stop and learn more about your page. But very important to have something well written there. This should go without saying, but I can't tell you how many times we land on profiles where the links are broken, the links are in the wrong place. So very important. On Facebook or Instagram, sorry, in particular, it's very different. You have to go in and you have to put your link in an actual link box. Please put that in the right place. If you don't, it's not clickable. If I can't click on your link to get to your page, I'm not going to search for it. People's attention span are so minimal. They're not going to go to Google then and research you, or a very small percentage of people will. You need to make it relevant and easy. And if you are putting your post on Facebook, it's a little bit easier, we know, to share links on Facebook, right? If you do it in a comment, it automatically populates some imagery and the links for you. We don't have that benefit on something like Instagram. Please do not post a link in a comment. No one can click on that. We can't get to where we're going from there. So make sure that you're putting this in the right place. It's useful. The links actually work. And if it's at all possible, use a link tree type of tool. So these you will see when you click on them, a number of links open up. It's like a page that shows you and directs you in all these different places. So if you don't want to have just a regular link and you have a lot of different places you want people to go visit, find a link tree. You can Google that after this. Link tree is a tool. It's free to use, and there's plenty of others like it. And then you can have all of your links, making it easy for people to get places. The number of clients that we see, new clients who come to us and say, I just don't get the traffic I need. And we looked at their profiles and these things aren't in play. It's wild and something that really needs to be paid attention to. So showcase your experience and your education. So this matters in some instances. If there's, if you've been in business for 20 years, if you've been the go-to place for the last 50 years, whatever it is, highlight that in your profile. People like to know there's experience. People like to know that the people and the places that they're going have some validity, and this is super helpful for that. And again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, I thought we were skipping to another one. Highlight first, highlight achievements and projects. So sometimes, if you're lucky, you get featured or you get highlighted in a local publication or somewhere somebody highlights something that you've done that's really great. Having that in your bio, also super helpful. It's that social proof. It's saying, hey, we did this thing really well. Again, if you think of something like Airbnb, when you're going to host or you're going to pick a place and a host to go for your getaway, they have super hosts, for example, as their achievement or their highlight. I like to book with super hosts right away. It tells me these people are at a certain level. I feel comfortable booking with them. So any highlight or achievement you have, please place that in your bio. Super helpful for people when they're trying to make a decision. This is the point I was saying earlier, to be consistent. Very important to be consistent on profiles. We want to see the same information. I don't want to land on Instagram where it says you're a coffee shop and then we land on Facebook and you're a bakery. Well, what is it? Am I going to a place where I can sit and relax and have a coffee with a friend? Or am I walking into a busy, hectic bakery that is just kind of an in and out thing and you offer coffee? Be consistent. Tell me what my experience is going to be like in all places. And then use keywords. More and more, we are learning that keywords in our bio helps put our profiles in front of the right people. So if you're using keywords similarly to SEO, which is a beast of its own, but these keywords that we use tell the tools that we're using to push our content in front of very particular people. And so the more clear you can be in your notes, the more important that be. If you are a museum, use the word museum inside of your bio. Don't get so crafty with it that we're forgetting the very basic things. Use the words that are very specific to your industry and where you are, and make sure that those are part of your bio so that you can be reached and found a little bit easier from everyone. So these sound like super basic things, but I assure you, if you take a look at your profile, there's probably some highlights, some things that you can adjust. And again, if you have questions at the end, please let me know. And I'm realizing that we're really whipping through this timeline right now. So I'm going to jump into this last bit, which is my posting strategy for beginners or people who just want a strategy, who haven't had the time to outline something very specific, and just something to begin with. And this is something I've used with my clients for a very long time, nearly a decade of working with business owners, trying to get them online, trying to get them in front of the right people. This is the most simple way that you can get started and engage your team. So there are 3 conversations that I say you should always have online. So one is your expertise. I need to learn about your expertise. And it's very difficult sometimes to continue to show up telling the world what you do really well, but it is an essential part to showing up. And there's ways to do that without just saying, rah, rah, look at me. Or your client story. We want to make sure that we're talking about your client story, the experiences that they have. And then we want to infuse a little personality or a little, just a little fun and a little something that makes you relatable and likable. And so we're going to break that down. So when we think about your expertise, we want to talk about your unique method or your product. What makes you different? What sets you apart? The experiences that make you an expert. What have you done that has allowed you to have this impact and has given people an impression that you are someone that they can trust? The knowledge that you've acquired over the years. Also very important. Tips and tricks and different ways that you can educate your community. Also very, very helpful. And what makes your company different. So these are just examples of your expertise. Now, how many of you feel comfortable or confident that you're regularly sharing your expertise? And I know that the verbiage here sounds like, well, an expert in what? Like an expert web designer, copywriter? No, you might be an expert in creating experiences, or you may be an expert in telling stories. If you're a museum and you've got history, you have a lot of stories that need to be shared. So your expertise can be very particular. How many people here feel like they are sharing that really well? I'm going to wait to see what the comments are here, because often this is something that is a little bit more difficult because we just feel like it's very boastful, and we just, how many times can we talk about how wonderful we are? But there's, to a certain degree, that content is quite helpful. Definitely not. See, no. We're not feeling super confident with that discussion. And really, that's what solidifies us in front of everyone to say, hey, I am very confident in what I'm doing here. As a marketer, if every day I'm showing up online and I'm not sharing things that we're good at, and very indirectly, I could just be like, here are 3 tips to help with your email marketing. And those 3 tips, that's an expert post. That's me telling you, hey, I know how to do this really well. Here are some 3 tips. And you should be doing those things with whatever industry you're in, really sharing. If you're a bread maker, tell us. Why are you such an expert bread maker? Is it because you have a recipe that was passed down from generation to generation and there's this secret recipe and secret ingredient? Tell us these things. You don't have to tell us the ingredient, but have that discussion with us about what makes you the expert, and give us a glimpse into that. No, it feels like boasting and not authentic. As people, we are not type A personalities. Sure, there's definitely, we don't want to, it doesn't have to be over the top. And I think there's a way of sharing your expertise and sharing your knowledge. I think we can dissect it in so many different ways. Like I said, if it's helpful and it's educational and it, gives us an impression that you have this validity, that's very important. And I think it's probably the thing that brings the most value to someone when they're on your page. If everything is a little bit soft, then you're just like everyone else. So how do we elevate you from everybody else and position you as a go-to resource for whatever it is that you have to offer, and really making sure that people know that you're an expert in that space is very super helpful. It's actually quite helpful. Um, I've also told mistakes that we often share expertise, and people will tell you that you've made mistakes. People will always criticize. That's the beauty of social media. Everyone will always have an opinion on something. But if you're confident in the way that you're doing something and you can back it up and you're happy to answer questions, there are ways to do that. And people really appreciate someone standing their ground in their process. And so I hope that you don't pull away just because, the internet is telling you otherwise. I prefer to undersell and overdeliver, difficult on social media. And there's certain value to that, over deliver to your clients and give that experience. Absolutely. But we have to remember that we are competing. We are competing for attention on everything. How many times have you picked up your device and just scroll through stuff, not looking, right? Like, we need to provide either entertainment or value or education, something that tells the audience, wow, this is a person that I can trust, or this is a place I want to be, or this is someone I want to know more from. So it is important to take this stance. So expertise is always the hard one. Everyone always pushes back. Everyone's a little bit worried about what it'll look like if they're doing this regularly. But I promise you, with the other content I'm about to share, it will have a nice flow. So we also have, scroll here, your client's story. So what does that look like? How do you share your client's story? Well, testimonials, of course, is one of the easiest ways. Today, they encourage us to share testimonials, preferably over video, which is difficult. There are ways that you can get your clients to do these things, but sometimes it could be as simple as someone going to your place of business and sharing it on their Instagram story. You can even ask them, hey, do you mind if we capture this video, sharing this video with us so we can use it on our social media? People are creating content for you. Don't be afraid to ask others if you can take that content and share it. Social proof. So sharing the post from a customer, again, the same way, but you don't necessarily have to ask. All the tools now that we use make it very easy to reshare content. So please don't sleep on that. If people are talking about you, people are mentioning you, reshare it, put it back in your story, take a screenshot, and share it on your feed. There's different things that you can do to make sure that people know that others are talking about you. But sharing your client's story is really helping people feel like, wow, this person had the kind of experience I want to have. Maybe there's a family that went to visit the museum that you're trying to market. They had such a great experience. Sharing this family's experience and what they've posted, or sharing an experience, at an engagement or a conversation you had with them while they were in your facility. Resharing that story helps just trigger these little light signals in our brains that say, hey, I think I would like to take my kids there. That sounds like a really great family fun day. I want to do that. So sharing those stories, really, really important. It helps us find our way in that space and making us feel like we want to experience it too. And then explaining how your client became the hero by becoming your customer. And so there's a book by I forget his name right now, but the storyboard telling, something like that. But anyway, he talks about the client being the hero. And it's true. The client is the hero when they choose you. You're celebrating them. The mom or dad who decides, hey, I'm taking everyone to this activity today, they're the hero by making that happen. You're just giving them the tools and the things to make that day a success. So if a family comes in, again, I'm kind of reusing the same example here, but sharing like, hey, mom and dad thought it would be a great idea to come out today and look at the smiles on these kids. What a great day had in the museum. They learned all these wonderful things. We hope to see you here next time, or some way to finish that off. But sharing the client story, absolutely a big part of a social strategy. And again, when you mix that with your expertise, you're really gaining a little bit of, you're really covering a lot of different areas. And again, I've kind of built these 3 pillars in a way that it's just kind of a no-brainer. You don't have to overthink it. You can really dissect it in a lot of ways. So if you just keep these in mind. And again, I'll break it down a little bit differently for you in the end, but it can be really, really helpful. So I'm seeing questions here. Can we reshare content from Google Map posts? We get clients from there. The maps are like the Google reviews. I'm not sure what you mean by map posts. Maybe something I'm missing. I didn't realize that that was a thing. But if you're talking about Google reviews, yes, you can. Usually you would just source that it was a Google review. Finally, the last pillar is a little bit of personality. Yes, let's show a little personality, have some fun with it. Introducing a mascot. Yes, they are still fun and cool. A mascot can be a digital mascot. It could be a little bird that you use on all the posts. Birdie says this, or make up a name, do something fun with it. This adds a lot of personality to your content, makes people remember you, makes people engage. Maybe you have a pet that is at your place of business. I don't know if you can see my senior golden retriever. I've got a doodle on the other side of me right now. We always call Henry our project manager. We make fun sometimes and we share content. It's a little bit of personality infused in our marketing, and it can be fun. And that's a great way to just engage people and bring you to, the human level. Showcasing your team and their unique personalities. Yes, I understand that there's a lot of privacy requirements and not everyone wants to be on camera, but as long as everyone consents and everyone's happy with it, share your team, share the good things that they do, their smiles at work or engaging with clients or their special tips or the quirky things that they do. That makes everything feel very human and people want to engage with real humans, especially in this day where we talk about AI and the fear that, the robots will take over. They won't, don't worry. They're not taking over. And then, of course, not being afraid of being you while maintaining professionalism. So when I say being you, it's your brand personality, whatever that personality is. So, of course, all of this works with a personal brand, but it does work with an actual marketing brand. And don't be afraid to own that personality and to really be whoever you are and to do that. There are people. There are all kinds of people and all kinds of communities of people. And the more you stay authentic and true to yourself, the more you will attract those ideal people. And ultimately, what you're looking at here is how I would love to see you disperse that. So your expertise is your foundational content, which sounds like you're struggling with, and I'm hearing that isn't ideal. But the expertise really needs to be your foundational content. Your client story is your supporting content. So we want to see that people are going to your place of business, what they're saying about it, the fun that they're having. Very important to share your client story. And then infuse a little bit of personality into that. Now, it's possible to kind of create some social content that has, all three of these in one single post. But that can be a lot of work and can be overwhelming. So if we look at something like this, let's say for every 10 posts, you would post 4 expertise posts, or maybe 5 expertise posts, 3 client stories, and 2 personalities. So if you did 10 posts that month, 5 of them would be expert posts. So those could be sharing tips and tricks. Those could be sharing, a special way that you do something, some knowledge that you've acquired over the years and why you see things in a particular way. Then moving on to that client story, testimonials, experiences, smiles, experiencing your space, and then again, infusing that personality in a couple of posts every month. If if you can't figure out another strategy, if you're just starting a Facebook page and you don't know what to share, how to share, just go back to this. And if your posts don't fall into one of these categories, maybe it's not the right thing right now. If you're not sure enough to dissect further and beyond than this, then I would really suggest you stay true to this and start with those particular posts one at a time. And you'll see that you'll get that engagement. And over the course of the week, you mesh those through. There's an expert post, there's a client post, you may have been some personality. All of that comes for full circle, and you really can see an impact. Meg, I'm seeing that I'm getting close, and I know you want to do questions, and I don't want to hold any. I'm okay to stay, but I don't want to hold anyone too far. I guess the end here is that this is all easy peasy kind of stuff. Again, we are having a basic discussion today in hopes that you're feeling confident to at least start sharing some information. The biggest thing though is to have fun with it. Don't overthink it. I know there are so many reasons today to feel like it's all just too much and maybe it's just easier to wait. It's actually the opposite. Share. If it's not good, if it's not what you want it to be, it'll be better the next time. The more you do it, the more you record video, the more you share, the more feedback you'll get, the more engagement you'll get, and the more comfortable you'll start to feel sharing your content. I see for us, they show up on maps. I'm not really sure. That could be the reviews, but anything that anyone posts within Google, as long as you reference that it's from a Google map post, for example, you can absolutely refer that and share it that way. That's not a problem. What if your clients share verbally and not in writing? There's nothing wrong with saying to them, hey, would you mind if I put this together and crafted a post with your referral? And then you can even send them the visual and say, hey, would you be okay if I shared this? I've done that I don't know how many times, and there's not a single client that's ever said to me, no, please don't share that.
Awesome. So yeah, this is a chance if anyone has any questions to pop them in the chat or the Q&A box, either or, whatever everyone's most comfortable with. But thanks, Kareen. That's a great way to start us off. If people aren't already aware and aren't already planning on it, there is another 5 workshops in English and another, well, 6 once Thursday rolls around in French.
Yep.
All based around social media, all presented by Mellow Brew. So if you aren't already aware, be sure to run over to the RTO9 website. We have them all up there so you can see what's upcoming. And this is
there we'll dissect again, it's very hard when you're talking about a basic. The goal is to, I just want you to walk away from this feeling like actually nobody knows what they're doing. Everyone's just trying to do their best. If you have the most basic approach to a strategy, it can be very helpful. And in the series that are coming, we'll dissect some things a little bit more particularly, and that will maybe make some things a little bit clearer.
perfect. And you do have a question here from Cindy Healy, who's asking if you briefly mentioned 10 posts per month, is that something that people should be aiming for?
So really, there are a million theories on how much content we should be creating. If you ask a marketer who believes content creation is the end all be all, then they'll tell you you can post 3 times a day. That's madness and not realistic for most. So when we think about posting, I would say post as much as you can get engagement and post as much as you can consistently do. If all you have right now is 2 posts per week, which is 8 posts per month, make those the best darn 8 posts you put out. Make sure they are informative. They are well thought out. They're not just on the fly. Make them 8 really powerful posts. If you can do 3-4 times a week, great. Again, make sure you have a solid foundation, and then maybe you can get away with a few on the fly. But honestly, the more you can create content, the better. There's no magic number. Find that magic number for you and stay consistent. If you can stay consistent for a month doing, I don't know, 8 posts, 10 posts, then maybe the next, quarter you decide we're going to amp that up a little bit. We're going to do a couple of extra reels. Let's try that now. Get comfortable with something before you add on more. If you go in guns blazing, it will fall apart. It's a very demanding job. It's a very demanding process to create content, and you have to give yourself a little bit of grace and just make a plan that makes sense for you.
Absolutely. And then you have another one here from Ronnie who's asking if you help with websites.
Websites is most of our work here. We work primarily on a Webflow. It's just a tool that our team have just become very accustomed to, and we feel is one of the best tools for our clients. So we spend a lot of time in Webflow. But yes, web is a place that we love. And I'm being honest, we talk about social with our clients a lot, but it is because it's moving so fast. It is a place that, compared to web has kind of stayed. Yeah, there's been a few updates there, but nothing compared to the space of social where every day there's a new feature.
It never stops, right? Technology, it's great until it's not. So we are at 11 o'clock. I will we'll wrap this up. I don't see any more questions. I just see that people are getting ready to go on their social media. A reminder that there's more series coming out from Kagen. There's more sessions going to be available. There, I did mention in the chat, there is a MailChimp series that's already started. It's only 3 sessions, but our first session was last week. It was recorded and put on the website. If you're interested in MailChimp, you can go back and check that out. And I will briefly mention that we are doing an in-person session October 25th for Instagram Reels and how to make them. So that's going to be in Gananoque. It's up on the website. Registration's live for that as well if you're looking to lean more into video content.
Those are so valuable. If you can go to an event where people are doing live showing of those things, go. And if you're not comfortable with it, make an effort to go. It's so valuable to see what other people are doing and just share. Like I've put on some of those at workshops. They're so valuable. People get so much out of it. So if you have a chance, go to that.
They're so much fun. They're so much fun. It's one of the most, it's one of our most popular workshops that we have. So registration's open for that. But in the meantime, since it's 11, I'll let everybody go. Thank you for attending today. And thank you, Kagen, for this wonderful session. And I'll be seeing you Thursday for the French version.
Yeah. Yes, I will be here. Thank you so much, everyone. And you can find me online. If you have any other questions, please come and find me. I'm happy to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.